Hi, my name is Sean Taylor from Pokémalarkey, and I just wanted to take a moment to apologize because I don't know what I did yet. I'm sure I'll figure it out, but I definitely did something wrong in the recording, and as a result, our audio sounds like crap. And I'm very, very sorry. I promise I tried as hard as I could to clean it up. Please forgive me, especially our special guest, Ian. I hate to bring him on as our guest and then, ruin everything. I feel really bad. I tried my best to clean it up. I hope you can at least still hear it and somewhat enjoy it. Thank you so much for your patience and your grace. I would appreciate whatever amount you can lend me, and I hope you still enjoy. Thank you. So this week, appropriately, we have decided to talk about Knights of the Old Republic, the original game on PC and Xbox, because it is getting a remake, which I think is going to be PS5 exclusive for a while, or PS5 and PC exclusive for a while. And then also there is a port coming to the Switch in November. I don't know when the remake's coming out. That's very exciting news because we're all Star Wars fans here. And so we just want to pay a little homage to the original Knights of the Old Republic game. I'm going to give the cheapest... that's a fantastic shirt, by the way. I'm going to give the cheapest, lamest Wikipedia high school paper research overview I possibly can in just a few minutes.
Do it.
And then I'm going to turn it over to our relative expert. Maybe not resident expert, but relative to us, he's a genius. And that's why I'm going to turn it over to him when I'm done. Most people know this game from the PC and the Xbox from coming out in July of 2003. And it is essentially an RPG. And when I say an RPG, I mean like a tabletop RPG. It is Dungeons and Dragons built into a Star Wars video game. But it's using like the Dungeons and Dragons engine or format or however you want to call that. And there's a tremendous little morality system that's very black and white in this game, but that was kind of innovative at the time. And having this very Dungeons and Dragons-esque style of tabletop RPG, but then doing it with the Star Wars license, even if it was set several thousand years before any of the canon or lore that was available at the time. So that's my, again, cheap little Wikipedia grade research that I care to offer. And I thought I would turn it over to Ian to tell me why it's important to the world that all this good KOTOR news is happening, and then why it's important to us, one by one.
Well, I don't really know why it's important to the world. It's important to me.
That makes it important to the world.
KOTOR...
Why solve climate change when you can have Knights of the Old Republic?
Oh, yes. KOTOR, at that time, there wasn't... I don't think there was any media about back then. At least not... We had a few books. I can't remember when the Bane books came out, but I think those were the latest ones at that time. But we had nothing back... I think it was 3,000 years, right? No.
That sounds right. It's multiple thousand.
Yeah.
About.
It's a couple millennia before the movies, and we just had nothing back there. So it was completely open for them to do, and they did it in a video game, which was probably the best thing they could have done. Has one of the best stories in Star Wars that I think, that's my opinion, but I love the characters of Revan and everybody there, especially in the second movie or second game. Hope it'd be a movie. That'd be awesome. Just everything about it was fantastic. And then the game itself, the gameplay is kind of niche. You really need to like that dice roll type of gameplay. It's not a hack and slash or anything like that, but very RPG-ish and very nuanced. But it's a fantastic game. And then they're remaking it, and they're also bringing a port to the Switch, which is awesome. I have all of the Star Wars ports. So Star Wars Racer, I think it's Commandos, and there's the Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy. Those games have all been ported, and they're all freaking fantastic. I play them all the time.
And finally having all these things on the Switch, or so many of these things on the Switch, is fantastic. What about your first experience, real quick, with this game? Did you get it real close to launch, or?
Well, yes, probably like couple weeks after launch. I actually went over to a friend's house, and his brothers had got it for the Xbox, and they were playing it, and they showed me, and I was like, what the hell is this game? What are they doing? Why are they fighting with swords? And then I was like, wait a minute, this is a Star Wars game? What the hell? And so I went out and, begged my parents to get it for me back then, because I was small and useless.
Moneyless.
The most important of the lesses, the moneyless.
Yes. And I bought it on every single console that I could that it came out on, and then I'm gonna buy it again on Switch. So it's same with Skyrim. I bought it on everything, and I'll play it on everything.
The only difference is everything on Skyrim is literally everything. At least everything for Knights of the Old Republic is like 4 things,
Yeah. I think Revan's probably tied for second on my favorite Sith / Jedi, Gray Jedi, whatever the hell he is now. He's probably my favorite, and the book about him is awesome. It's kind of an in-between the first 2 games, and then a little bit after the second game. So there's a little bit of overlap there, and it's a great book. So I would recommend listening to that too, or reading it. I do everything on Audible, so
excellent choice.
I don't have time to read a book. I drive 30 minutes to work, so I have to listen to it.
Jesse, how about you? What's your relationship to KOTOR, your first experiences?
Well, I love Star Wars very, very much too. And as I'm holding Asajj Ventress's one of her 2 lightsabers in my hands, I love KOTOR. My like introduction to it was really with Knights of the Old Republic 2, and then later I went back and played the first one, because that's just when I was getting interested in that's what came out, and I was like, oh cool. I played that one. I was like, oh my god, I need to know the rest of the story right now. So like Ian, I really appreciate the ability of these creators to really like expand and like just go wild with the pre-Star Wars lore. Like, it's great. It really nicely feeds into, if anyone else, comic book series, the Knights of the Old Republic, they reference characters, or sometimes briefly include references to them in the Knights of the Old Republic series, like video game series. Absolutely excellent. And also the idea that I could slowly drift from one side of the Force to the other was very appealing to me. I'll let you guess where I ended up quite often. It was not with the Jedi. It's great. I love Star Wars is a treat, and I for one think we're very lucky that we have a terrible capitalist machine that will continue pumping out Star Wars content until we die, because while that's risky, it at least means every fucking year I get Star Wars, and I love that. So,
Book of Boba Fett.
You give me more! Yes, Book of Boba Fett, and then we have more Mandalorian coming, and we have the show about Cassian Andor and Kenobi, which wrapped filming this month. So, like, there's lots of good shit coming down the pipeline. If you love Star Wars, it's the best. Great gift.
I'm not going to take up too much time, because I'm a light casual Star Wars fan, like pro Star Wars, but not knowledgeable or experienced at all beyond the movies. And so I wasn't even aware of these games until, like, I don't know, maybe 2013. I'm going to say 13 or 14. And then in 14, I finally got both like a PC and an original Xbox. And I got these games on the original Xbox first. And I got to be honest with you, I have barely touched 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2. I'm to understand that it is good, but has some spots where maybe rush development or something might have affected it. But I have barely touched it. And then even this game, I played maybe 5 to 6 hours of it once way back in. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely loved it, but this was like my first big boy job, and it was the first time I had money in these consoles, and I was buying way too much crap for way too many consoles. And so even sitting down and playing it and being like, this is great. And then the next night I put in something else, and that was that. So
you were enticed by power. You were already on your way to becoming a Sith.
I will say that's one thing I'll never do is shift over time. Like, I'm either going to do a good playthrough or a bad playthrough. I'm going to say that I probably started a bad playthrough on 3 separate occasions over the years. And not counting the fiasco where I tried to live stream last night and couldn't because I'm too stupid. And every time, yeah, and it's great. And I play D&D weekly. I love D&D. As I said, I'm like a light casual Star Wars fan, so it all fits. It's all great. I will finish it someday. For what it's worth, I am invested enough in the lore of Star Wars and general nerdiness that I'm completely familiar with the story and the gameplay and just the impact this game has on society. The fact that when the remake was announced and the port was announced that the internet just exploded, I think is pretty telling to a game that is now almost 20 years old.
Yeah. The remake was what? Not even a minute long, and people freaked the fuck out over it. I freaked the fuck out over it.
I did too.
I'm very excited.
Nintendo announced several things, but the thing that mattered was a port of a 20-year-old game.
Any trailer that gives me someone sitting, breathing in the dark while someone recites some cryptic, menacing words about them, and a glowing light stick comes on, it's done. You don't have to tell me anything else. I'm on board.
I feel like there's a lot of innuendo.
Mask.
And the mask. Oh.
A lot of innuendo in that sentence,
Like,
Jesse.
I was really happy at the very beginning part of that, and then the red lightsaber, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be pretty cool. Then it goes up to the mask, I went, ah!
And so that is our beautifully self-serving homage to Knights of the Old Republic, and we hope that you are as excited as we are, whether you're these two excited or me excited or somewhere in between, somewhere in that excited. And we hope that hearing about our joy with this game brought you some as well. I will get through it. It might be on the Xbox One with the Xbox version so that I can actually stream it. We'll see.